Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a subscriber request. My subscriber had seen this eye look featured in another video as an example photo, and that was long before I started filming anything, so she asked to see a tutorial of it. I will admit, today's video was kind of a hot mess. I was having so many issues, but I think we got there in the end. If you'd like to see what I did, then don't go anywhere. If you're new to my channel, hi, my name's Rachel. I'm a homeschooling stay-at-home mom. I love to play with colorful eyeshadow, and I typically upload at least 3 videos a week, all eyeshadow related content. So if you would like to color up your timeline a little bit, I hope you'll consider liking and subscribing. Alright guys, so here's my plan for today's eye look. As you can see, I created it on this side. I was having a lot of trouble, and so I decided to just finish up the side and then do the tutorial for the other side. Hopefully I will resolve my issues when I do it a second time. The palettes that I'm using are the Age of Opulence palette from Beauty Bay. This is the palette that I used for the original look as well, and I think I used Curfew, this shade, and then some of these purples. However, I also used Opal for October BH Cosmetics Birthstone palette to get a light blue and a light purple or pink shade. And I no longer have that palette. I have decluttered it, but I do have the Sol Monet 2 eyeshadow palette from Untitled, which has light blue and purple mattes here. So I'll be using this as transition shades to deal with the super dark shades of Opulence. Now, the issues that I was having is that Beauty Bay shadows, as I have known from the start, the mattes do not like to build. And so what I did was a light wash of color, and then I built and built and built. The problem I encountered, of course, was patchiness. So then I tried to do this eye, and on this eye, I decided to start with the darkest shade and work lighter from there. But then the problem that I encountered was that when I went to blend it out, this eye was way darker because the dark shades blended out into where there was not supposed to be dark shades, and it was just an awful mess. So I'm gonna go back to my original technique and build the dark mattes on top of each other, which is dangerous and usually results in patchiness, but I'm gonna use a slightly different technique to try to combat that. You guys are just gonna see the one eye. Let me get started because this is a bit of a hot mess video and my baby's still sleeping and I'm hoping she stays that way. I'm going to do a light wash of blue, so using the Sol Monet 2 eyeshadow palette, I've got the shade Soft Cloud with a medium dense blending brush. Udin's eyeshadows like to be placed and then they don't blend a ton from there, so I'm really emphasizing that it's placed in the outer corner, and then I'll move to the inner corner as well. And then I'll just gently carry it across the center. Now it is gonna blend, they're beautiful shadows, but it's not gonna move around a ton the way that some other formulas do, you know, maybe more powdery formulas, or I don't know. Different formulas do different things, and so I really wanna emphasize the light blue out here in the outer corner and onto the lid space, and then here in the inner corner onto the lid space as well, but keep the center of the lid clean. This video was requested by a subscriber because I had done a wear test on primer. I had done a NYX eye and a Glamlite eye, and I used Beauty Bay shadows because those are my litmus test for creasing. Usually the shadows and the mattes crease on me within 20 minutes. I used Beauty Bay shadows, and I just did a really quick eye look, and then I checked in at various times throughout the day to see how the eyes were holding up based on the primers underneath. And I'll card that video above for you so you can watch it if you're interested. Now at the end of the video, I found some pictures from my earliest Instagram posts, which were before I was filming anything, and those were also before I had discovered Glamlite, and I was using the NYX primer, and you could see the creasing, particularly with the Beauty Bay shadows. So my subscriber saw those pictures and asked for tutorials, and that's the reason for today's video. This was one of the looks that she asked for. So there you go. In case you were curious, that is the backstory. Now hopefully the second part of this eye look goes better than the first part. Now I'm taking Age of Opulence. I've got a small blending brush. I'm going to take the shade Lavish, which is a beautiful royal blue matte. And I'm placing this at the outer and inner corners. And I'm just doing a little triangle of color, always making sure to leave the very center of the lid empty, because I don't want to have to cover up whatever shadows might be placed there before I'm ready to lay down my shimmer. Now the technique that I'm changing this time through is that instead of placing the color and then pushing it around and blending it, which you can do with Beauty Bay shadows, I'm really just placing the color and then leaving it there, much like I do with Udin's eye. And I'm doing it for totally different reasons. When I do that with Udin's eye, the reason is that that's how the formula likes to perform. You place it and you kind of just leave it there and then soften out the edges. When I'm doing it right now with the Beauty Bay, the reason is because the formula is weaker. Oh, there's the baby. The formula is weaker and will cause patchiness, and I want to avoid the patchiness. So I'm just placing the color where I want it to be, dipping back into the pan frequently, and going from there. Okay, now I'm taking the brush that I used for the Soft Cloud Light Blue Matte, and I'm just tapping along the edge where the where the darker blue meets the lighter blue. Again, I don't want to push and, you know, manipulate the shadow around very much because I don't want to create patchiness. Just want to let it fade off a little bit. I have a blending brush to do the same thing. Always softening. And then if that has diffused the color too much, you can go back in and place more. Just tapping it where I want it to be. And now that it's being added to a blended foundation, I don't worry as much about blending it. But do you see that I'm starting to get a little bit of patchiness over here? It's a little bit annoying, honestly. You can work with it, it's just a little annoying. Okay, now with the same small blending brush, I'm going into Curfew, which is an extremely dark matte. It's even darker than navy. It's almost black. And with the exact same tapping motion, tap in place, never push or circle or blend or anything, just tapping into place. I'm deepening the outer corner right here and the inner corner here. With this inner corner especially, I'm not even carrying Curfew out like to cover more of the blue. I'm just putting it at the very, very inner corner, and that's all. All right, now it's time for some shimmer. I'm gonna take a flat C or shader brush, grab the shade Champagne, and I'm gonna spray this, and I'm placing this in the very center of the lid, in that naked area that we left. And I'll dip back into the pan and grab some more. It's really gonna glow. It's got a lovely metallic shine to it. I'm placing this all in the center. I'm not gonna overlap too much into the blue because there's one more step I wanna do for that instead. I'm just laying down a good layer of this shadow in the very center of the lid. Make sure you go all the way down to the lash line. Sometimes I forget that. Sometimes I go like most of the lid, but then the lash line is naked and I'm like, forgot something important there. Okay, now I'm gonna flip the brush and I'm gonna take the shade Decadent, which is kind of a blurple matte. It's a little bit blue, a little bit purple. And I'm just dipping in very, very lightly with this shade, and I'm right where the shimmer meets the matte. This is gonna help transition the two. So I'm going right on top of that line only, bringing in that blue-purple shimmer. And that just helps the formulas transition. And if you feel you've gone too far, we'll flip it over again, grab some more Champagne, and go back on top. So here's where we are now. I'm still having patchiness. Now this time I'm having it in the inner corner. I do not understand, but that's okay. It's all right. Still looking pretty good. I think I'm managing to generally save the look. I'm gonna take a pinched and kind of small blending brush back into the Solmone 2 palette. I'm taking the shade Dream, which is like a very light purple matte. I'm placing this on the whole lower lash line. It's gonna look a lot more blue because I'm pairing it with all these blues. It does have a purple hue to it though, so I'm gonna just lay this down as a foundation. But I want this lower lash line to be a lot more pinky. I remember that when I used the Opal palette to blend out these colors, Opal doesn't have a purple matte, it has a pink matte. So this is just a lighter version, or a slightly more purple version of the blue matte that I used before. Now back into Age of Opulence, I'm taking that same brush. I'm gonna take the shade Flapper. And Flapper's a lovely fuchsia color. And I'm gonna run Flapper on the whole lower lash line now. And this will bring in a beautiful pink, but it's gonna end up looking more purple because it's being put with all these blues. And it's actually quite an unexpected way to liven up the look. I think it's really pretty. With a smudger brush, I'm taking the deepest purple in the palette called Velvet. I'm gonna just put this along the lashes at the outer corner. It's not gonna add much to the look, it's just bringing more of a plummy tone to meet up with where I've placed the blues. Again, place the shade, don't try to blend it. And with the same brush that I used for the shimmer, I'm gonna get more of it. Champagne is what it's called. And I'm gonna put it now, instead of on the flat of the brush, I'm trying to get it on the side of the brush so that's a little bit more of a precise line. Make sure I spray it because that will make it better. And I'm gonna place this, I love to do this, on the very center of the halo eye, on the lower lash line, right underneath the shimmer above, and it creates this lovely column of sparkle. I just think it's an interesting way to dress up the halo eye and make it a little bit more exciting. I think they're even. I had lots of problems with this look, but I think it turned out pretty. All right, now I need a waterline color. I think I'll use this lavender eyeliner from, I almost said ColourPop. All my eyeliners are from ColourPop, except I just got 2 from Udenzai. This is lavender from Udenzai. I'm gonna line the whole waterline, and then I'm gonna go off camera and finish up. I'll take some concealer and clean up any fallout, and I'll put on a liner and mascara, and then I'll be back to show you how it all turns out. All right, guys, here is how it turned out, all said and done. This was such a mess. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna do my best in the editing process to make this video as seamless as possible, but it was just kind of a mess, honestly. I had so much trouble with patchiness and building and blending. It was just kind of a nuisance. I'm not sure what was going on. I think the problem was that I didn't go into it remembering how to work best with the Beauty Bay formula, and so I had problems from there. But I did do a winged eyeliner. I put on some mascara, a little bit of highlighter from BH Cosmetics, and then on my lips I'm wearing ColourPop lip oil in the shade Hey. And I do really like the look. At the end of the day, I think it turned out beautifully. It was just kind of a pain in the butt to get here. So thank you for sticking through with me and for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed the final result. I hope you learned something maybe from my mistakes in the video. Maybe you can pick up a tip or two. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to see lots more colorful content on your timeline, and I do take requests, clearly, so if you're interested in seeing something specific as far as technique, palette combinations, color combinations, I would love to consider your requests. So until I see you again in my next video, I hope you have a great day. Bye!